We're back, Locked In Podcast. I'm Joe Pyfer, Sammy Oropeza, and we got Mike and Tim here.
Thank you for having us, boys.
Yeah, for coming.
What up, bros?
Samuel set this up for us, and what do you guys do?
We're comedians, so basically just losers. We work forever.
Faggot on the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That's our stock and trade is autistic guys just calling us gay on the internet. But it's a living,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Wow.
I don't know how you can podcast while prepping for a fight. I don't know. I have to really give it up for you, dude. That's nuts.
I'll say Sam's been doing all the legwork, so he's the one that's drafted you guys, and Paul Vile in the first one, and I told him, I was like, try to make this at least the least stressful it can be. I just want to show up, do it for now, just because I have a fight coming up and whatnot. But I also do the Steady Picks podcast with the MMA stuff, so it's pretty convenient.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough to imagine just like holding conversation with your mind on war, you know?
Well, you can't always. I think it would wear me thin if I was just constantly, worried about the fight. I know.
My bad.
I know. Wait, no. I'm training obviously, and I'm worried about the fight and all those things. That's my main priority. Obviously, it's my job, it's my livelihood. But I mean, I have dirt bike and shit like that. You don't want to make it your entire life. It wears you pretty thin mentally, pretty quick.
That's the cowboy approach. You know what
Cowboy doing some crazy shit though.
I'm
He's
saying.
doing a lot. He's doing a lot more than I
I mean?
am.
Competitive wakeboarding and shit like that.
I would love to do
It seems
that.
to help, you know?
Dude, I can only imagine how much more wakeboarding he's doing now with that full head of beautiful hair.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about, dude. The fucking
Talk
Turkish
about
hair transplant surgery.
Yeah, I got it done.
How long ago?
Yeah, I got I think 9. It's coming up on 9 months. It might be 9 months now. So it grew in pretty good. It's just I didn't do any. To be honest, I really fucked off on a lot of the
Post care?
the post care that I was supposed to do. You're supposed to get PRP. But I'll tell you,
What's
painful
PRP?
PRP is like where they I guess they spin your blood and then put it back in.
Put the plasma back in.
Yeah, helps with the circulation, like the growth and all that stuff. But it was a cool process. I definitely wouldn't do it again because I didn't really care, to be honest. But I made a deal with my jiu-jitsu coach that he really wanted hair. It bothered him. He even got a tattooed hairline. And then I was like, I'm not going to fucking Turkey by myself. Like, I'm sketched out anyway with travel. And we got, now hair time. They hooked us up and they flew us out for his class and everything and took care of us. So
That is pretty funny. All the countries that you have to go to for like discount procedures are all pretty sketchy. I almost went to Colombia for eye surgery. Found out later it would have been a terrible idea, even if I was a candidate for it. But like, bro, I have like a fixation on all of like the recovery pictures of dudes with the million scabs on their heads. I want that. I don't know what it is.
Was there a point where you were afraid to touch it like a black lady with a weave?
oh yeah, man, it's basically it's you don't want to touch it. It's damaging, and honestly, it was really fucking hard to deal with at first because I got back to training a lot earlier than I should have. Because I wanted to fight, and then I fought in the summertime, and I got it done like 3-4 months before that. So even in my fight, you can see how raw my head was still. But yeah, man.
Cauliflower hairline.
Yeah, dude, it just looks fucking terrible for a while. You feel like you feel like a retard
Is
with
there
it.
pus and shit?
No, not too much pus, just a lot of scabs and raw. It feels like a burn.
But you got ringworm on your head, I remember.
I got MRSA on my forehead.
Yeah.
From
Which made it look pretty rad.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, dude.
Bro, if you've never had MRSA is the worst skin infection you can have in MMA, and it's pretty popular just because of the bacteria of different gloves and people not cleaning their gear. Unfortunately, I've had it a lot.
Popular?
Yeah, it's like the most popular thing in MMA, like skin infection wise. It's staph. It sucks. But yeah, that sucked. But then I remember getting hit in my forehead, and that shit was terrible, bro. It felt like you hit me with a bat.
I was just about to ask you, did your opponent know going in where you this guy shit done?
No. He. I'm sure he saw the fucked up hair that I had. So yeah, I mean, but he got knocked the fuck out in like a minute and a half. So he didn't even hit me. So
Hitting him with the bald rage.
yeah, but I will say it was a cool experience. I wish I could have seen more. Like you go out to Istanbul's where it was, and we did like a little tour and whatnot. But the food definitely not what everybody makes it to be. I'm a big food person, but it was not. Yeah, I don't know.
Was there anybody that was making any kind of food that we were just just like, look, please get me some of this shit because this turkey shit.
No, we were in like a nice hotel. It was really nice, but they had like a breakfast buffet and shit. But bro, when you're not used to eating that kind of food.
Was the whole line for the buffet just dudes with?
Yeah, bro, it looks like a bunch of fucking aliens walking around. You got this big ass tampon on the back of your fucking head. It looks like a diaper, and but the worst is so they shave your head and then they pluck everything. So it's not fake hair; it's your own hair.
Right.
They take it from the back of your head. They stab a bunch of needles, but you get stabbed with like 30 anesthesia fucking needles. Then they swell your skull, and then they pluck out all the hair from the front, and all the hair they took from the back they insert it in. The hair in your back will always grow.
Do you feel it the entire time? Like, are you conscious of everything that's happening?
You hear the crunch in your head, so it's like, bro, it was terrible. It like skeeved me the fuck out. Honestly, the best food I had too was the 30-minute rest that we got in between, and it was like some rice and chicken, and it was banging. But
How do they swell your head? Are they just pumping fluid?
fluid,
into it?
yeah. They put the 30 anesthesia needles in,
Dude,
which
I'm gonna
hurts like a
man.
bitch.
This sounds so cool.
Bro, it hurts though, because obviously you go numb afterwards, but you feel every needle until they numb that area. So you're getting stabbed, and they're just boom, boom, boom. It's like getting your blood drawn 30 times in a minute. So it definitely was painful. I'm not a needle guy, but yeah,
Are there other people like you're mingling with that are getting all their shit done at the same place, like getting their teeth fixed or getting like?
yeah. So they're all getting that shit done, but you don't see them. They're like obviously different appointment
It
times.
smell crazy in there.
Bro, I don't know. It didn't. No, it was fine.
Clean.
Yeah, it was clean. It was very clean. It's just I didn't. So when I got this done, like I tell you, like I literally didn't do any research. I had no idea what the process was. So after I got it done, I looked at my coach, and we looked at each other. I was like, yo, this shit was fucking traumatic, dude. Like I wouldn't do this again.
PTSD.
Literally. But the guy was super cool. The staff was super cool. And the sites were kind of cool. So I would definitely go back. I want to get Sam. He wants to go out there. So
I'm trying to get Mike to do it.
Yeah, I definitely want to get it.
if we had a big group and we went out there, I would do it again.
Yo,
Cause
party time.
Yeah, maybe when I get married, like, we'll do that. We'll do like a bachelor party.
Yeah,
but yours
you're
isn't
gonna look
bad.
so fucked up in the wedding.
Yours isn't bad.
No, but like down low, like a different.
You're talking about at the top. Yeah.
Dude, I
Well,
almost cut my wife's head off because I was like, she's like the sweetest.
oh, you are married.
Been together for over a century, but like we never actually got married. So I would maybe want to get married someday. But there was one point, it was a very sweet lady, and I was like, say something mean, because like she just doesn't say mean shit. She's like, all right, promise not to get mad. Yeah, she's like, I was like,
You got mad?
yeah, it's like I couldn't hold it back because I didn't know I was going bald.
Yeah.
And I thought she was just fucking with me, but then like when I looked at it, I was like, all right, I am bald.
I'll say this: I still don't give a fuck about my hair. The only thing that actually bothered me about my hair was that the top was going bald. So I didn't mind. I always had high widow's peak. It's just I think it's like a fucking genetic how I was born type of thing. My dad went bald. He had high widow's peak too. But I've had that since I was a kid. But then when I buzzed my head and I realized, oh shit, I'm actually going bald at the top. That's the only part I didn't like visually.
And that's the first thing she said because that's the part of your head she's looking at when you're eating pussy. Like she's doing her makeup in your scalp.
Yeah, you're going bald. There's fucking shit all over your heels.
The flesh colored yarmulke. No, but at Joey's gym, they have a camera when they buzz you in. So the camera's over top, and they screenshot it all the time and send it to people. And I'd go into the gym and be like, Joey's gonna kill one of you guys.
They really fucking did that? I never heard that. Did they actually do that?
They showed me a couple pictures, like, look at Joey.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy because fucking Coach John, he's bald. And he's like, oh, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, yeah, you do. That's why you keep your shit shaved or you never grow it out. He's like, hey, I'm bald. I own it. I'm like, okay, whatever.
How's he looking now?
Swole.
Yeah.
Oh, Jonathan, I got it done. So there's Coach John. I just call him Fat John. He's our MMA coach. Love him to death. He runs Marquez MMA right here in Philly. And then my jiu-jitsu coach is Jonathan Webb. But yeah, his looks good, man.
He does look way younger now.
He's every ethnicity in the world. He's Asian, he's black, he's whatever. But his hair is dark and his skin's dark, so I think his looks a lot better than mine. I'm light hair and light skin, so obviously my shit looks thin. And again, he followed a lot of the stuff more than me. He didn't do it all, but I didn't do any of the post care.
You look like a GI Joe character.
Yeah. Yeah. I rocked the ball too, bro. I feel like that was my thing.
Would you ever go back and just shave it out, even though you got
Yeah,
that shit?
absolutely, absolutely. I only did this because I was letting my hair grow out, and you know, it's good to let your hair grow out. You're not supposed to cut it, but I cut it like fucking 10 times already, and then I just did like the mohawk thing because I had a grappling tournament recently. But yeah, no, I would definitely go bald again. I would definitely buzz it.
You're gonna get.
I want to, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through the healing process. Like, I have a deviated septum. I always wanted to get that fixed, but when I see the recovery videos, I'm like, no.
What country did you go for? Oh my god! And then they pull out the
They
giant
pull out my
slugs.
lungs. Yeah, nah.
If I could get those both at the same time, I think that might be the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
I will say this: if you get your hair done, you want to make sure you do it in the cold, because you're not allowed to have your head in sunlight. Obviously, summer it sucks. Your whole summer's fucking chalked. You don't want to. You're not allowed to sweat. That's the biggest thing. You're not allowed to sweat, and you don't fucking sleep for like the first 4 days, bro. It's so raw. You can't. It hurts to even like put your head on a pillow.
Oh my god, I could do so much gaming.
Right.
This might be my like primary fantasy at the moment.
That's wild. That's nutty. What part of you? Where do you need hair?
I don't yet. That's the problem. That's my biggest problem is I don't need hair surgery yet.
Scabs on his head right now.
That's all I really need. Yeah, you think I can get like a I don't know like a test? Maybe they can experiment on me.
They do everything over there. They do dentures or not dentures, whatever. The fucking
Veneers.
veneers. They do teeth nut whitening. They do the hair. I forget what else they do.
Bleaching.
Calf
Oh, no,
implants.
that's-
I might get the worst.
But the veneers is. But I never really realized the veneers. They fucking take your teeth down to nubs.
Yeah, nah, that's not good.
Yeah, no, and then you probably have shit breath after that.
And then afterwards, you'd have to go back there to get them fixed if something fucked up happens. And
Yeah,
you're
they don't
fired.
ask for it.
Yeah.
I would definitely get them if my teeth were like fucking falling out of my mouth and I didn't have good teeth. But
I think they all look bad though. I don't think I've ever
I
seen.
think Connor's looks good. Conor McGregor. I don't think they look bad. I think certain people look good.
Yeah, but I think he probably spent like 60 grand on those ones.
Yeah.
He's not trying to get like the layaway special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6'9".
Yeah. The donkey from Shrek teeth.
I think they all look like that.
Yeah.
I think Connor's, I guess, are okay, but they're also on a fucking like jacked billionaire, so it's like it's probably all nothing's gonna look too bad.
He ain't that jacked. He's like 5'9", bro.
He's short, but
5'9", like 175.
he's turning into the gorilla tattoo on his chest.
I think it's just the way his posture is. He's built like a gorilla, but I don't know.
Yo, Tim, so I've been wanting to ask you about
Uh-oh.
this because I was really interested into it and I watched it. You did a professional boxing match, right?
Oh God, yeah. Well, it wasn't supposed to be professional. It was supposed to be a joke.
Did you get slumped?
No. It was. First of all, I never boxed before, so I spent 6 months training, and that was fun. I really liked that. I could have done that forever. But I was supposed to be boxing another comedian at a comedy festival, but it was in Vegas.
Yeah.
And so, I guess Nevada found out about it, and they were going to shut down the entire festival if anyone was getting punched in the head.
So they
So it
sanctioned
got
it.
pushed back. And we ended up doing it in Florida. I got there and we were doing it for money, so it ended up being a professional bout. And it was just a fucking actually it was a pretty cool weekend. We did comedy shows, we did like a bunch of cool events, and then we had the actual boxing match. And it was just like I got to experience all of like your worst fears about your first fight, where it's like, your arms and legs feel numb. It feels like fighting in a dream.
Yeah.
And the worst part of it was, I'd really worked on like my stamina, because my biggest fear was being so tired that I just got knocked out in a 9-minute fight. You know what I mean? And I think I got in really good shape. And my opponent, Luis J. Gomez, he's been training for a long time. He's had bouts before, and I just knew if I could outwork him, then I could at least like not get hurt. And so my plan was the last, 10, 20 seconds of each round, I was going to try to like let him feel a little bit of it. And halfway through the second round, someone was slamming on the canvas, and I thought that was 10 seconds. And so I unloaded for probably 30 seconds, And I was just like, whoa, I thought this was going to end. And I don't know if I got a look at the clock or whatever, but there was like another minute left. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I just never came back from it. And I just felt like so slow and weak. And that was the worst part. I probably would have preferred to get like violently knocked out than to just feel like
That adrenaline dump in between the rings.
absolutely.
Very helpless feeling.
It's the worst feeling. And so I ended up, the thing I wanted to avoid the most, I walked directly into in the worst way possible. And it just sucked. It just sucked to look like that and feel like that, you know?
Does that escalate again? Like after you have that between rounds, when you start the next round, are you ready to go again? Or you're still trying to recover?
Well, me, I don't know about for Sam, but for me, I don't think there's a dump anymore in my career. Like there's like I understand what I'm doing, and I understand like pacing, and I understand obviously, you know, I can't put everything into every shot, and yeah, no, I don't think there's a dump for me anymore at this stage in my career. I would say early on, like when I was an amateur and me and Sammy were fighting all these guys, yeah, I would go out there and just try to blitz people. So I definitely would get myself tired, and I would say this: I'm very lucky that I've had the success that I had as early as I did, because I think if somebody was able to withstand the shots, it would have put me in a bad position. Probably only for one fight, you know, for me to learn that. But nah, I don't have the adrenaline.
We actually went to one of your regional fights here. Maybe at least one. I feel like I saw 2 of your fights. Yeah. And it's I love regional MMA, and one of my favorite parts about it is how like stark the difference is between like dudes who are ready for the next level but haven't like gotten an opportunity or gotten booked yet, and dudes who are like not there.
Yeah.
And dude, it was nuts. It was like watching a kill, like you know what I mean? Like that's not fair. They shouldn't be letting these two people fight.
That was Joey's first amateur fight. I talked to the promoter and I'm like, yeah, this is guy Joe. He's a really good guy. He's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, but he's really green. He hits hard. But, you know, we don't know how good he is yet. So they put him in there with this guy. Dude, what do you think happened to that guy?
Yeah, so it's actually funny. I met the guy's coach this past summer at a Naga tournament. It was like that's the first tournament at 5 years old. I was almost 6. It was August 3rd, 2003. It was my first jiu-jitsu tournament. So yeah, it was 5 going on 6. And I met the guy's coach. I'd never seen the guy's coach. For some reason, I know why I never saw him. They took him in an ambulance on a stretcher and all that crap, oxygen. He got knocked out pretty bad. So he was never allowed to fight again. And apparently he had like it was very minor, but he had a brain bleed. So he never got cleared and he was never allowed to fight again after that. But I met the guy's coach. He was like, man, you fucking killed him and da-da-da. I was like, yeah, like, I wish him the best.
Any clue what he was walking into ahead of that fight?
I mean, in all fairness, like, you know, I know we make a joke about it, but it was like, you don't know. I don't think he knew who I was. Nobody knew who I was, other than, you know, in my team. And even then, like, you don't know. You can be the best guy in the room, man, but unless you can go out there and perform the same way, it means nothing. You can be a gym hero all you want, but unless you put those skills in the cage. So, in all fairness, it was my first fight. It was his first fight. And, you know, we found out what happened, but I'd never knocked anybody out until that point. You know, I've hurt people in the gym. You know, I was 19 years old, 20 years old. I knew I had power, but, you know, it wasn't something that was as well known as it is now. So, yeah.
I wish I could find the text messages that the promoter sent me the next day, how upset she was with me.
Yeah, because you should have known. You know?
Well,
Yeah.
we didn't. Nobody knew, like you said. Man.
Yeah, even the
You
commissioner
had a
was
hunch.
really mad.
You had a hunch, dude.
I knew Joey was a killer since he was a little kid, though. I did.
Even the commissioner was upset.
Do you think that unlocked something that like kind of propelled you to what you ended up becoming now?
It just solidified what I always believed, which was that I hit hard and that I had the power to knock people out. But until then, I never put somebody stiff. I'd hurt people, I'd drop people, but I'd never put somebody one punch to sleep. And but yeah, you know, honestly, it was a good thing and it was a bad thing, because then I went on and I was, first of all, I was 177 I weighed in at, and I was fighting at 85. I hadn't matured, I hadn't filled out yet, didn't have a strength coach, it wasn't good with my diet, wasn't good with my sleep. It was just kind of like I was working full time, and then I would train a couple times a week, hit pads with him, and I was going and doing my thing. But you know, that was short-lived, because then my next fight I lost to a collegiate wrestler who, you know, basically was big. I hurt him, but 6-minute, you know, fight, 2-minute rounds, you get taken down once, it's over. So I would get back up and whatnot, but I was undersized, and so yeah, it was a good thing. It solidified. I knew I had power. I knew I had boxing, all that crap. But you got to have every piece to the puzzle. So.
Did you know, even as like fighting as a kid, did you like have a belief in yourself like that early on, or did that come as you got better at fighting?
Yeah, I had the unexplainable. The part that's hard to say that I've always believed is that I always thought I was meant to be more than average. Like I never believed I was meant to be average. I always dreamed of being in UFC, and since about 8 years old on, and that's what I wanted to do. It was the only thing that I felt I would have success at. I hated school. I wasn't good at school. I didn't want to try at school, and I couldn't really see myself being an office guy. I hated that shit, and I got my opportunities. I made the most of them. But yeah, no, I would say it's something I always knew I wanted to do. But
Yeah, Joey was an awesome little kid. Like, it was fun being at the gym and being like, oh, I'm a professional fighter. And then Joey would come into the gym, and he was like 10 years old, 11 years old. And we would all train with him. And it was like, I would always make my match with Joey a very competitive match. Like, I'd get to like a good position. Like, I could sub him, and he would get out and then sub me. Then he'd look at me and be like, "Did you let me do that?"
yeah, I didn't like people giving me shit for free. But I was submitting like grown men since I was 16, and so yeah, but I just had the mentality for it. I had a lot of anger as a kid, and I wanted to hurt people, like in a good way, in competition. And yeah, there's a good thing we have refs, because I wouldn't stop. That's my mentality. Like, you're trying to take something from me, you're trying to take my name, so I'm gonna try and punch a hole through your face, and that's carried me for a long way. A lot of it early on was a lot of anger and a lot of like fucked up things in my head, but now it's like I just enjoy putting people to sleep. So
Yeah, dude, that's part of like what I wanted to talk about. 'Cause, like Tim and I, like we saw you fight at 2300, and like you were easy to root for that because you're a local guy. And you're just,
name, by the way.
yeah, very cool name, and you're just fucking destroying people. But like when you find out about your backstory, it makes you 1,000 times easier to root for. Yeah. Do you think that like having like going through like everything you had to go through now, how much does that still propel you to keep moving forward? Or, do you think you would have this motivation now regardless of your background, or do you think the background is just like strapping like a NOS tank to what you already have?
I would say the strength in my story has died for the motivation for why I do it now, because that was my motivation all the way up until I would say my first Contender Series before I broke my arm. The anger of my father and the situation with my home life and my family and all that stuff, and just the division and the cut off from like actual family for years and years, and just like the bitterness. So I think that carried me on, and just everybody making fun of me and saying I wouldn't make it, or I was a fucking bum, I'd be sweeping floors, be a janitor, all this crap. And not that everybody's got to make their living somehow, right? But the belief in me was never there. And then when I went to high school, I had a coach who basically took me in and wound up homing me later after some life beat me up, and then getting Sam on board. Like he had a busy life and 2 kids and 2 jobs and all that stuff, and I was able to get him to believe in me. And yeah, so I would say it propelled my career early, and that's why I was knocking people out, because I would hit people out of anger. It's like either I'm falling or you're falling, and I've always had that mentality. It's kill or be killed for me. And now I love the sport, and I'm technical, and I'm strong, and I'm mature, and my body's physically maturing and all those things, and I want to be a world champion. But I don't want to do this because of spite of how I was. That's over. I've accepted how my life is, and it built my story. But I can honestly say I never really like tap into the childhood shit no more, and
It's got to be like a massive relief for other people that have gone through like similar things to be able to hear that, though, because I know like there's a lot of kids that might be in a similar situation that you grew up in that might not have that belief yet. But I think like just hearing like all the shit that you had to endure to get to where you're at, I think the benefit that's going to play for like kids coming up, I think you're going to hear about that for years to come. Where you might not even be aware of it now, but I guarantee you probably get it now. People messaging you saying I went through this, and this helped me. But I think the benefit that you're playing out for like people that aren't even aware that they might need that benefit yet is going to come.
yeah, I think putting my story out there too has helped me let go of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like my story is something that was behind the 8 ball. Like I wasn't supposed to win. I wasn't supposed to make the UFC. I wasn't Like I could have gone a very different path. I could have probably, done drugs or which I don't think I ever would have done, but I probably would have hurt somebody and got locked up or something like that. Just made the wrong choice. And I was always around athletes, so that I am thankful for. I was always around people that I could, draw strength from and realize like, hey, there is a way out of it. And as long as I stay to this, like I'll get my opportunity one day. And that's always what I was holding on for, is just the opportunity. And even when I was trying to get him to coach me, or my wrestling coach who housed me and allowed me to pursue the career, which is why I even made it. I think that's enough in itself for me not to go do the wrong choice. But I would say the only time too that I actually feel grateful for my story now is when I win. Then that's when I get emotional, because it's like, yeah, we really built this from nothing. We really built this from no belief, no followers, no sponsors, no help at that time. As far as the outside world, but I always had people that believed in me, as I got to my middle teens, which was all I needed. So, and I got the right opportunities, and I also seized the moment. You know what I mean? So it's like once I got the opportunity, I made the most of it. It's not like I played with my food. It's like I went out there and I trashed the guys I was supposed to beat. So here we are.
I think you've done that multiple times. Though. I mean, just even getting to like the Contender Series and then like having such severe injury as you had. At that point, it was like a lot of people, I'm sure, like fell off that you thought were with you that were just like.
Oh man, it was like radio silence. After I broke my fucking arm on the first one, it was radio silence, and it was like, damn man, everybody wrote me off, because I think a lot of people thought that was going to be my only shot to get in. And, it is what it is. The casuals are the ones that fell off, not the real ones. So, my circle got extremely small after that. And I think everybody really was
That's
like,
actually
this
a good
kid's,
thing.
it was a good thing. A lot of people jumped off that were never supposed to be on, and that's fine. But yeah, I still rebelled and still came back. But that's the thing too. It's not like I came back and skated by. Like it came back and still was putting people away, even with a fucked up arm.
And it just made the story that much better, though. It really, when you see all the obstacles he overcame to get to that point, and then it's like the biggest obstacle shows up in your life at that point, and then overcoming that, I mean, it just made it so much better. It really did. And it just add that icing onto the cake to the story.
The perfect storm. The perfect storm. Because they were telling me I wasn't going to fight again after that. I had 2 surgeries, because the first one was like, it was a successful surgery, you could say. But I wound up having so much bone growth because of the calcium deposits and whatnot that my arm was locked literally at 90 degrees. But he'll tell you my mentality. Like even when I saw him and he was like, "What the fuck? Like you're not fighting with this." I was like, "Ah, man, I think I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be able to fight." Like I never lost the hope that I was gonna be able to fight again. And then I went and got a second opinion aside from the first doctor. And they were like, "Oh, if you get the surgery, there's only a 30% chance that you won't have like nerve damage, and you still might not be able to fight." And I was like, "Fuck it, let's do it." So, and that was my first I don't know if it's consultation, but my first observation from that doctor. And I was like, "I don't give a fuck, let's do it." So, and it wound up paying off, man. So there's a lot of decisions that I made that could have led me the wrong way to not be able to do this. And I don't know what the fuck I would have done, but it worked out.
We were talking about this before everybody got here, but just talking about, I mean, just everybody's like had their own different challenges, but I think like for me, it's like the key is just keep your fucking feet moving. Yeah. And it's like you can listen to all these outside sources and have a million people telling you what you can and can't do, but like when you have like this kind of shit pop up, as long as you keep your feet moving, you at least got a shot.
It's also how strong do you believe in yourself? Right. You know what I mean? Like if I would have got hurt and I would have been like, "Ah, man, that's it for me." And, I don't think I would have been that, I was very confident in myself and my abilities, and I always bet on me. That's just how I've been. And I think I've been that way since I was a kid. And I think that's why I had a lot of problems with my dad, is because I wasn't somebody you could break. You can make me upset in the moment. You can make me pissed off, but you can never make me like lose the belief of what I thought of myself. So, and no matter what you told me, I still believed that I was going to get my shot. And I got my shot. I just had to get away from shitty people and, just fucking learn the hard way sometimes. Yeah.
But and Joey had Celine Dion too.
Celine Dion carried me through some dark times, man. I still listen.
Fight week, it's Celine Dion playing the whole time.
I love Celine Dion. But she got so many bangers. Yeah, she's got so many. Celine Dion's awesome. She's literally the.
All I hear is. That's all you hear all fight with.
That song is "I'm Alive." Yeah, no, it was the first song I ever remember hearing. It's weird because I don't know if it was late for me, but I don't remember really having like memory until I was like 5 years old, and that was the first song I ever heard. And I love her music. back when people used to,
Joe, that makes you 10 times more terrified.
yeah. Well, you gotta have both sides. There's the killer side, and I'll fucking destroy you, and then there's the other part where it's like, I'm a person and I like shit too. So
Dude, I have actually a general curiosity about like, okay, so let's say you're either the best fighter in the world or you have the potential to be the best fighter in the world, right? Now you're in the business of fighting, and it's not the entire game. Now you have to sort of start like navigating like the media aspect of it. You have to become like a personality for people to buy into if you really want to be at the top. Even like a lot of like the title shots that people get, it's not exactly just who's the best and who beats the best. Now it's also like who's got like a good post-fight sound bite, who went on a podcast and like, gained followers. Are you navigating that yet? Is that something that like brushes up against like your actual work, and like what does that do to you?
well, I think the good thing with me is that I don't have to fake who I am. I think I'm pretty entertaining and like very unpredictable with the shit that I say. So I think that in itself is entertaining. So I don't really have to sell a character, and I'm really kind of like a blunt, like to the point person. So I'm not really going to filter how I feel. So I think that is the character that people may think, but that's just who I am. And I always said I don't have to fake who I am. I can just be who I am. And that's also one of the major reasons why I wanted to do what I do. I don't want to be told what to fucking do by a boss. I don't want to show up and someone be like, "Oh, you're 5 minutes late." Like, get off my dick, dude. Like, I kind of go to the beat of my own drum. But don't get me wrong. I still show up for class on time and do those things. I'm more of a late person than anything. But yeah, no,
And that's music to my ears.
Yeah,
And people like, Philly retards like us love that shit. But I think when you get outside of Philly, it's like,
Authenticity is like a shock to a lot of people.
yeah.
Well, because a lot of people will cave. You have social pressure of people being like, like one of the things that goes around is I'm called Salty Joe because people didn't like how my response was after I lost my first fight in the UFC by 1 round to a guy who was ranked 10 at the time. And I was like, look, man, like I had walking fucking pneumonia. I had 2 MRSA spots 2 weeks out. I had, antibiotics. I really only had a 2.5 week camp to prepare for 25 fucking minutes. And, my biggest concern was my cardio going into that. But it didn't stop me. I didn't care how many fights he had. I still went out there. I threw everything I had with what I had at the time. And, I came up short. And I think a lot of people take it the wrong way because they're casuals. They don't understand what it is to be in a fucking 25-minute fight against a guy who's, considered top 10 in the world. And the way I look at it is there's only 700 of us across the country. It's not like it's just in the States, it's across the country in the UFC. And I fought the number 10 guy, and I did a hell of a good job with what I had to do, with what I had to work with. And, a lot of people started this like Salty Joe. And I was like, yo, bro, ain't nothing salty. I appreciate the fight that I had and the guy I got to fight. He's a good dude. And you win some, you lose some, right? Like it's this level, it doesn't matter how good you are. Some people just have good game plans and it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, and my response to people was suck a dick, fuck yourself. Like, I don't care. But,
Literally, that was his response.
that was my
I know,
response.
I remember I watched that happen in real time, and I watched people's reaction to it because I was just like, that's the best response you can have to anything. And people like sour facing. It's like, no, dude, this rules.
Well, I also was, the reason they can call me salty too is it was the first time I had all love going into that. Maybe one message a month that was hateful. But then I lose, I fight my heart out, and then all these people are like, oh, you fucking suck, your hype's over, you should kill yourself, hang yourself, oh, I hope you get murdered, oh, I lost my parlay, I lost my fucking mortgage. I'm like, bro, I don't give a fuck if you died. I don't care. You don't provide for me, you don't pay my bills, you don't understand what it feels like to take a loss like that. Like, and listen, I'm not broken by a loss. It's not like I got knocked the fuck out, I didn't get dropped, I didn't get submitted. It's not like I got outclassed. I lost by a round. And I took shot to my fucking eyeball where I was seeing 3 of the 1 dude. So it's like, and I still fought. So, nobody can talk shit to me. I have a lot of heart. That's something you can't teach. And I can take a shot, man. So it is what it is. But that was my salty response to a lot of people talking shit, telling me to kill myself over a fucking fight. It's like, bro, blow me. Like, so.
Yes, dude.
And when Joey fought, the next fight, Joey knocks the guy out in 30 seconds, like face down knockout. And I bookmarked every comment where I'm like, I can't wait till Joey fights again. And I got blocked like 20 times that day.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. They say you're not supposed to like engage with any of that type of stuff, but it's like it feels so good to tell someone to suck your dick.
Yeah, it does.
It's feeling in the world.
It does, but then the other part of it is, right, when you first get into the UFC, you're excited for all this, your first press conference, all these people care about you, all this bullshit, all that fake love, but then it also makes you detached because the only way you can't, like, I don't feel like I can be a middleman. I don't feel like I can love the fans and hate the fans. I feel like I either care or I don't care. And now I don't really care. Like, I care about the fans that are like nice, and I like the compliments of people that actually give a fuck and are true fans. But when you detach from social media, and every time I read a message, like, there's no emotion when I see somebody be like, oh, you fucking suck, oh, you're fighting a can, oh, you're fighting a guy that your teammate already beat, or, you know, all those corny comments. And it's like, you don't give a fuck no more. So now when people do say good things or bad things, or they DM you, you really don't have any emotion, you don't care to respond.
Yeah, you do
and it
have
kind of takes the love for the fans out of it, because it's like, man, these people, they love you when you're hot and they hate you when you're down, because they lost fucking 5-hour parlay of a 20 leg like me. Like, fuck out of here, dude. So yeah, it's tough because it definitely makes you hate the fans a little bit.
No, I get it. Like we talked about something before. Like we've been doing like a podcast for like 5 years now, and it's like the amount of times that like we've each been called faggots, like you name it. Like there was something like you know Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah,
He has
Outliers.
something called 10,000 hours, where it's like if you put in 10,000 hours at a given task, you should be at least proficient in that task. And I think with like podcasting, it's like you have to endure your 10,000 faggots to become pro.
Before you have a chance, yeah. It's either put up with it or go back to the office. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's crazy because you can't really say, like, in my position, I can't really say that, right? I can't be like, oh, you're a faggot. I couldn't even. Somebody said something to me, and I said, dude had like 3 fucking teeth. And I was like, bro, you ought to look in the mirror, bro. You look like you're built like a fucking piece of pasta, like angel hair. And I was like, your kid looks like a fucking trash can. And I got banned. I got reported and all this shit, and I couldn't post, I couldn't go live, and I was like, bro, like, in the world of censorship, the fact that fans are allowed to harass athletes and then you say something back and it's canceled, it's like, yo, I'm all for it. We can insult each other all day long until I just decide I'm not going to respond anymore. But it's like, I can't really say what I want to say, or I get canceled, or you get taken out of the algorithm, or you get, fucking, I don't know, shadow banned or some shit. So you're not in the algorithm to get followers and all this crap. And it's very important, like you said, about like, managing the social media. So I have a kid that, does all my shit, Chandler Henry. He's, a kid that I went to high school with, and he's very good at all like the video editing and all that shit, making the highlights and stuff. So, come fight week, I don't deal with any of that shit. But
Getting banned, I mean, you guys know probably the most about that than anybody in this room, right? Getting censored.
Yeah, like right now, it's like he's dealing with something where like he'll get demonetized from YouTube over something, this sweet video that he made with his wife. But I think it's a common theme for like a lot of what we put up will be like limited monetization or no monetization, and it's nothing. There's no, I don't know. There's no malicious intent in anything we do.
Yeah.
And it's like, and honestly, a lot of times,
I don't even have opinions on stuff. It's like I can't be controversial because it's like I don't feel like I'm smart enough to weigh in on anything. So the worst I get is like accidentally running afoul of like the poorly defined, boundaries and shit like that.
Yeah, but like the question that and this is like one of the reasons why we really wanted you guys on the podcast, is being a comedian in the past 7 years, 5 years, with the way they tried to change things. And when I say they, like the current culture of like, you can't make fun of anybody anymore. There's groups that are above satire now. Has that made it harder to be a comedian? Like, does it just make you want to push back? Like all the questions you're asking, Joe.
Maybe in a surprising way, because, once something becomes off limits, it becomes like very powerful to attack it. And so that's like your first impulse. It's like, oh, I'm not allowed to say this about these people. I'm going to be the guy that says it. Now, here's the thing. If you wake up late on the day where that becomes a hot button issue and you think you're going to say bad words about people, guess what? You're the 900th guy now to do it. So it doesn't really hold that much of an appeal for me, which also, I mean, it might be like a slow growth problem, because now it's like you're not participating in the fucking back and forth on like the big, hot button shit. So I don't know. I try to avoid it entirely. And then sometimes I'll say something silly and it gets me in trouble. But yeah, there's people that living and dying by that argument about, oh, I'm not allowed to say this anymore. It's just like, I guess, dude, who cares? Says who?
Yeah.
Says if people are paying attention to what you say anyway, you can say what the fuck you want to say. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, maybe it's kind of a blessing when you get in trouble for it, I guess. But there's dudes that are just hitting that button over and over again. I want to get there. Put me in detention right now.
And we've just kind of been like focused on just doing what the fuck we want to do for like, you know, especially like the last 5 years that we've been doing our thing. Because like we were involved in like a Comedy Central pilot that we were convinced was going to become a series, and then in one email the bottom just dropped out, and then we're just like, all right, we're fucked. Like, what do we do from here? And then we started the podcast just to do something creative, you know, for the sake of doing something. And like from then till now, like Tim and I have kind of just done what we've wanted to do. And there are people that say like, all right, this is bad, or you can't, or you shouldn't say this. And it's like, I don't know. We're gonna do what we're gonna do, and those people, like, they're just irrelevant. It's like, if you're running a fucking marathon, those are the people that are standing along the sides of the road talking shit the entire time, but it's like, well, we're running the fucking race.
Yeah.
You know, what can you actually tell us? And right now, going back to what you were saying about, like, not being told by somebody to want to punch in this shit, like, that's vital for us, because, like, we played that game for the longest time. Like, getting my balls busted for being 3 minutes late to a fucking job. Insanity. But now it's like, you know, Tim and I, because like we've stayed the course with all the shit we've been doing, you know, we might not be successful by everybody's metric, and we're not millionaires. I still drive a fucking 2016 Volkswagen Jetta. But at the same time, it's like, kind of, I wake up what I want to, I fucking do what I want to do. I interact with the people I want to interact with. You know, all the fucking dickheads who, you know, were our buddies when we started, but then when we started to pull away from the pack, all of a sudden fucking hated us for no reason. It's like, all right, you know, we're going to do it.
Suck our dicks, dude.
Yeah, we're suck our dicks.
I think that's the whole problem with today's society, right? Like, if it's socially accepted, it's normal, but it doesn't mean it's right. So you're gonna, like, I mean, there's a lot of fucking freaks, and I'm super against it. Like, when I'm on the UFC mic, I can't say anything about like what I don't like to a certain extent, because, you know, it's unacceptable or it's offensive to people. You got people sexualizing children. You got this fucking freak show fucking trans culture that I don't give a fuck if I get canceled for it. I don't support it. I don't think it's normal. But then you're going to tell me I can't tell somebody to go fuck himself that's coming at me and telling me I'm a piece of shit because I lost their parlay. It's ridiculous. But it's just the amount of abnormal shit that goes on in society that people say is a social norm. Just look at OnlyFans, bro. Like, you got all these chicks out here that sell sex and don't actually have to work a real job, and they can make tons of fucking money, but they'll call you a piece of shit or say something about me, or, you know, say something about a guy who works a hard 9 to 5.
High ground now.
Yeah.
That's
More
wild.
than NBA players.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's insane.
They used to have to get pregnant by NBA players. Now it's like they can't afford them.
Now they make 60 mil in 3 years and can fucking retire.
That's nice.
It's insane.
That's nice for them, man.
It's wild, but they'll knock you for trying something or talking about a certain subject, and it's I don't know. The world has definitely been chaos, and I'm excited for where it's going to go in the new direction, I hope. And
You're optimistic.
I'm very optimistic. I hope, please. And I hope XRP goes to the roof.
Yeah, we got Joey in the crypto now.
Oh man.
Yeah,
After years of trying to tell him to buy, like, just buy this. Because I always tell Joey, I'm like, dude, in 2012, when I was fighting all the time, that's all I thought about. If someone was like, hey, Sam, buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's $111 right now.
Yeah,
Buy
yeah.
some of it.
Did
Yeah.
you listen back then?
Oh, no, I wouldn't listen to, like, if you gave me advice like that, I was like, no, I want to buy a pair of sunglasses or, like, a cool hat or Jordan sneakers or something stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you think you're always going to have this money, and it's like, no kids. It was amazing. You know
Dude, when we got the money, when we got paid for making that Comedy Central pilot, I think I got like $7,000 or something like that. And I was probably in debt, so I probably made like some credit card payments, but then I bought a used motorcycle. And if I would have taken the same amount of money and bought Bitcoin for what it was back then, it's like I would have been making OnlyFans money now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to shit back then either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, dude. You think
I turned down OnlyFans. I got offered a pretty big chunk of money. I got offered a little less than half.
Pyfer can't fuck, dude. This guy sucks.
No, that wasn't.
I dislocated his dick. It's over.
It was for MMA instructionals.
Until for you to tell them to suck your dick.
Yeah,
So it's
probably.
free money for something that you could just do in your free time.
Yeah,
said no.
I said no just because I don't support the platform. Not that I'm on a moral high ground for doing that, but it
Mike
was
might
just like-
overly support the platform, by the way.
Supporting the
He's-
20 chicks.
But honestly, yeah. But honestly, I hate the platform, and I hope they do away with it. And I just
If you're 40 pounds overweight, you're a lady, please.
what about the body positivity movement? You can have a
Oh.
350-pound fucking tank, and they promote it like it's a healthy thing. And you probably got fucking diabetes, you got heart problems, cholesterol.
I think that's dying down now.
What as it, but that's going to be as of a very recent
Well,
thing.
yeah, I think because
in the
of like
past month.
now that they have Ozempic and they can just like needle it away, I think that they're kind of getting quiet about that and they're all just getting like fat skinny. But yeah, I was there. I was in the trenches on that one too, where they're just like
They
there's
walk
nothing
around
about
looking
being
like
obese.
surfboards.
Yeah, there's nothing about being obese that is actually like negatively impactful to your health. And just like what?
Yeah.
Well, look at our food chain system.
I know it's all
Everything
fake.
is built to make you have some type of illness. It's insanity, and you can't even, let alone the grocery prices, obviously. But you can't eat healthy without paying extra. So everybody buys into eating the fucking Cheetos and Doritos.
All your food comes out of a cardboard box.
There's
everyone has a
there's
chronic
nothing good
illness.
about being a fat piece of shit. Just to be honest,
Bro,
Like,
they're
there
selling
really
blood
isn't.
glucose monitors at retail now, and it's just like, what are you talking about? I like, they're pumping advertisements for like prescriptions and shit to normal people because it's like everyone, like I'm sure if you go into any doctor's office, we could find something that we need to treat every day with something.
Or myocarditis in like 10-year-olds is normal now. Like, yeah, it's always been like this.
35%
Was that
of children.
obesity?
No, that's having heart attacks. Little kids having heart attacks now.
Are you guys vaxxed?
Yeah. I had to because of my job. Here's the deal. I had to because of the job I did. And at the time, it's like, in hindsight, I probably would not have. Like at the time, I was like, all right, I kind of have to do this. And it's like, I don't really see an option. I did feel like it was forced on me. And in hindsight, I probably would not have done it.
I got Johnson & Johnson.
That's even worse.
I know, but I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a pretty nice lawsuit. That was Kenzo brain, dude. That was my slip and fall. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this, and then.
But it went from like you don't have to take it to it's a mandatory thing if you want to keep your job. So you didn't really get a choice.
Yeah, my kids didn't get it.
Yeah, no, I'm vax free, man. Thank God.
I'm so jealous, dude. I feel like my brain doesn't work anymore.
Maybe that's why I'm built like this and you're built like that.
No, like
Ah,
what?
just
I'm like what? Joe, what the heck?
So
I thought
like-
we were boys.
We are.
the hell?
I
used to be 260 pounds, by the way. You know what I mean? So this is actually
what are you
pretty
now?
good for me.
220?
195.
195?
Yeah. I'm
How
a
tall are
jack.
you?
6'2". On a good day.
Same
Wow,
height.
dude. I was on your side this whole time. Now I'm with the Twitter guys.
The Twitter
He's
guy?
washed. Yeah, actually, Piper's washed, dude. He's never coming back from the elbow
Dude,
thing.
He's getting knocked out his next fight. Yeah.
Gaslam's due for a resurgence, man, actually.
He did his best work at 85.
He's used to Mexican elevation, dude. Watch this. I've got a 25.
Talk about a guy who has shitty genetics, though, man. That he's not like some guy that you would look at that's like, man, this guy's a killer. But he's a bad dude, and he's not aesthetically pleasing to the fans.
No,
Like, he
because
can
his
fight.
people are built to ride a BMX to their kitchen job with their wife on the pegs. You know what I mean? They're not built for. They're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be fighting like European genetics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's actually him going to the ring.
Me? Oh, him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Calvin's going to the
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
wearing a dirty apron and.
well,
No, I'm not saying these things. These are jokes. This is. I know. No, I agree. You have a genetic advantage over them. I think this should be easy for you.
I hope so. I hope it's easy. You know what I mean? I can hope for it, but I'll be ready for it if it's not. So.
Yo, so another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys, and it's everybody in this room has this in common. You guys both train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu regularly, right?
Yeah, I actually coach kids jiu-jitsu, and it's interesting how like kids with like a structured activity like that that's physically demanding. You don't hear anyone bitching about like ADHD and shit like that. You don't see anyone coming in with any like brave haircuts. It's like you give kids like a physical challenge or problem to solve, and it's like, yeah, they
fighting to breathe.
yeah, so they end up not like finding problems online to make theirs, and I think that's like there might be like a secret in there that needs to be shared with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like kids aren't supposed to be on daily medication.
Yeah.
And then you're not supposed to, their parents aren't supposed to be on social media saying like, as a parent of a child with, whatever, like you become like defined by like some, not imaginary, but like an environmental issue that is prescribed to your children. And now that's your whole personality. But then you're getting recognition and attention for it. That's like causing like a pretty quick breakdown of like the entire family unit. You know what I mean?
Like jujitsu, MMA, the gyms are like the ultimate. I hate using the word like safe space, but like for people who believe like I'm in control of my own destiny, like it's one of the best ways to put you in control of your own life. You know what I mean? Like you see the guys that come into the gym that have a victimhood mentality. They never make it. They'll come. They might be good. They might have talent, but they don't last. You know what I mean? So it's one of the things that I love about going to the gym with a group of fighters or people that see the value in training jiu-jitsu. But it's awesome that both you guys do it. Really is.
Yeah, and people hate hearing about it too. That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Like normal people can't stand hearing about it. They they have like
Oh, you grapple with dudes.
sweaty
dudes.
Yeah, it's gay to them, or it's like frustrating that they have nothing.
Ain't nothing gay about getting in a street fight with a dude that does jiu-jitsu and you get put to sleep. So
True, but also sometimes it does look gay. If I don't know what I'm if I don't know what I'm looking at, and a guy wins a fight by being in bottom missionary, okay.
listen, I agree. All right, I agree. I agree. I don't
You know what I'm
like
saying?
I don't like the guard pullers and the guys that sit to their butt. But that's the pure jiu-jitsu style. But yeah, I'm not into that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I try to reassure people like it's definitely not gay. It's actually the coolest thing in the whole wide world, and it's like I don't know. Even like untrained guys who fancy themselves to be like pretty tough. They're just like, yeah, well, immediately they're just like, yeah, nothing beats a gun.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool. Well, I also can't put a gun in my kid's school bag and tell them to make the bullies pay. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess I could. But.
Yeah, and then they get tapped out by the 135-pound guy with Coke bottle glasses that eats birdseed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's truly humbling. No, and like once you start like training, like you can't become like tough without feeling what it's like to not feel tough.
Yeah.
Like you're no one's beating ass without getting their ass beat. At least in the early stages, anyway. And Joe started when he was 5. He was probably beating up the adults at the time.
Nah, I lost more.
He was
than
beating up
ever
adults
won.
that looked like me. He was bullying them and shit like that.
I was definitely whooping
He was
people.
getting beat up by his sisters, actually.
Yeah, my older sister used to beat my ass for a while. She was also almost 4 years older. It's fucking wrong.
Did the kids you went to school with know that you trained?
Yeah. So yes, they did, but my dad was like super like nobody needs to know secret weapon, blah blah blah. Dude was fucking a moron, but yeah, they knew, but I don't think they really knew. You know what I mean? So like people knew, but they didn't know how long or how good I was or anything like that. Not
Also,
that
that
was
long
good.
ago, probably to someone who has no idea
not
what we're talking about,
popular.
it's just like, oh yeah, he takes karate class.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
which used to piss me off because
He
people
was
would say,
Taekwondo Joe.
yeah, every time somebody said that, I was like, it's not fucking that.
Yeah.
It's real fighting.
I also don't know how many times as a kid I saw karate class kids just get their ass beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Karate's the biggest hoax of all. That shit sucks. I mean, look, for the dexterity of some kicks and like the flexibility and the like the speed, like there's some some really good things. But in a street fight, bro, you're getting fucking worked.
Yeah, as a kid, I think I got fatter taking karate.
Did you ever get to do a full split though?
No. Dude, I made it. I think I went up to green belt. And I would just have horrific diarrhea every testing day leading up to it. So it's like I couldn't ever perform at my potential. But because my parents paid fucking $90 a month, I would get a stripe or get a new belt. So
Damn, I've heard a lot of child predators in karate too. I feel like I've seen a lot of news stories about like weird karate teachers. I don't know. You've got kids believing in like a made up system of something, and then you're an authority to them. And also, like, as an adult, you must understand that it's fake, or you believe in it so that you're kind of delusional anyway. You know what I mean?
And obedience is a big part of
Oh,
it. Like,
yeah.
all martial arts, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we
I
gotta
will
work
say
on the
this: I've never called any instructor professor or sensei or master or anything with that. Your coach, and that's your coach Sam, Coach John, Coach Jonathan. That's what we leave. I ain't calling you sensei. I'm not calling you professor. Shit feels weird. Yeah, master. Fuck out of here. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a big red flag when someone's forcing honorifics on you, especially if you're an adult and they go, "Hey, man, it's professor." Actually, you're just like, okay.
It's Shidoshi.
Yeah. I was like,
What belt are you? What belt are you? Who wins?
Oh, Tim, every time. Dude, when I first started training, like we were grappling in our buddy's living room, and I felt so confident because I was 6 months in. You feel like, dude, I can do anything. And Tim mentioned that he had trained before, and he got me in a. What did you get me in? Was it a Go-Go Plata?
which I never trained. I saw it online one time, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do it with my fucking fat
fucking
friends.
sinking it in. He's like, yes, I've never hit this before.
I've never even tried this before. Saw it on a fucking Instagram reel.
Are you guys still active? Like, you still train like pretty
I
consistently?
haven't trained much. I'd say this year, like I definitely haven't trained much.
Brother,
That's
we're
what-
fucking 10 days in.
But Joe. All right. All right. So I would say like my
We got a lot going on, Joe.
My first 2 years, I think, is when I trained the most. I trained like every day for the first 2 years. And then I left my first school, and I went to a great school, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I made up every excuse not to go back, and then I switched to another school, and it became more of a hobby than opposed to something going to every day. So I've been a blue belt for a few years now.
Could you survive a minute against
Against you? Without what? Without tapping?
pure jiu-jitsu? Yeah.
No.
What about you?
Absolutely.
That's
Do you have any mats?
crazy.
Do you have mats?
That's crazy. We got to do
1
it.
minute. 1 minute?
We got to get you guys 1 minute. Yeah,
Joe,
1
what
minute.
about the both of us?
Give me 6 months to train.
6 months. We should definitely do this.
How high
now.
above sea level are we in Philadelphia right now?
It's actually pretty low here. You might be.
Perfect.
The gas move fights off. Joe just fought 2 fucking retards.
Tore his ACL. No, we should definitely do that post podcast. Have you guys come out to my jiu-jitsu gym one day?
1,000,000%.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
For me.
I am nursing an injury to every part of my body at the moment, but I play hurt. It's no big deal.
Yeah, me too. Hey, listen, we always go into fight with our bumps and bruises. So
True. Actually, I think I have hair surgery that weekend, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can make it.
So we talked about this earlier, but Mike, I've been wanting to ask you. There's a lot of questions I have for you, but you recently, like a year or 2 years ago, your book came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I put up my book on perks. So, like, in 2012.
Call of Duty perks?
No, the fun ones, man. But, dude, in 2012, like, I had this, like, really bad bender in Atlantic City. And up until that point, like, I drank every day from, like, 96 to, like, 2012 to that point. And then in 06 or 05, I got into coke, so it was just, like, this disastrous fucking run all the way around. And I had a bad bender in Atlantic City in like late May 2012, and it was so bad that I was just like, I gotta stop because I got a wife, I got 3 kids, I'm just a fucking loser at this point. And within like 2 weeks of stopping, I started working at like this like UPS kind of place in Sharon Hill, and like my leg was just on fire one day. And I was like, I didn't hurt it, I don't know what's wrong. And then I went to the doctor. He's like, yeah, you ruptured 2 discs, so I definitely recommend surgery. And at that point, he's like, he's like, you probably need some for the pain. I was like, yeah, and he gave me perks. And I was just off to the races as soon as I took them. And that lasted for close to 3 years. Now, during like that time, all that I would do was just sit on Facebook all day and just post about shit. I would just get high and post about shit. And on Facebook, it said, like, on this date, you posted this. And anytime that would pop up once, like, I got sober, I was like, all right, that's the most embarrassing shit ever. And it was just day after fucking day. It's like, you posted this, you posted this, you posted this. And I was like, all right, I don't want to feel embarrassed about this shit anymore. And it was kind of like how you talked about, like, you're kind of taking control of fucked up shit happening in your life. And for me, this was like me taking control of like that. It's like, all right, I'm going to try to do something funny with it. So I put together like all these fucked up posts of me being on pills and being on Facebook and made a book out of it. And just giving like a present day analysis of what was going on at the time. So I put it together as a book called All Perks. And it ended up being the catalyst for me being able to leave my job. Because like in 2 days of like having it up for sale, like I was like, oh fuck, I think I can quit my job now.
Wow, 2 days.
Dude, it was like 2 days, and it's like, it's nuts, like the amount of people that you don't know are supporting you that come out of the woodwork to support you when you do something like that. And it changed my life in the sense that like I didn't have to work a job from that point forward.
And for 7 years, I've worked in the neighborhood where Tim grew up in. So like growing up in Delaware County, I wasn't really privy to drug addiction. And like I got to hand it to you, Mike. It's so impressive to see somebody, number one, have the willingness to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because it is embarrassing. It is. It's very embarrassing, and I appreciate that so much. But to turn it into something that totally transformed your life, I absolutely love hearing that, man. I really do.
I appreciate it. It's like, for me, like I had fucked around. I'd gone to rehab. I'd said I was giving shit up, and I just didn't do it. I would just go back to doing all the other fucked up shit I wanted to do. Where things got different is a bender I had in 2017. I came home the next day, and my kids were at school, and I was waiting for them to get home from school, and they came in, and like they looked at me different. Like I could tell the way that they were looking at me because I was supposed to come home the night before. I told them I was fucking picking up pizza, and I just never came home. I just stayed out all night doing coke.
Yeah.
And like seeing them look at me different.
Damn, didn't even hit him with milk. You hit him with Little Caesars.
Like when I opened the door for them, it's like up until that point, I felt like they were kind of oblivious to all the fucked up shit I was doing. But that moment, it's like they viewed me differently, and like something like changed in me at that moment. Like I didn't want that perception of me to be like their lasting perception of me, because I knew I was a loser. I knew I was fucking up, and I knew that like I was probably increasing the likelihood of them doing fucked up shit as I got older if I continued to do that shit. So at that point, I just tried a million different things, and it was like 12-step meetings, like fucking, journaling, fucking positive effort, all this shit that like people that you read about, like self-help books that like people put out there to try to like build yourself back up. And then fortunately, like 3 months later, I got into jiu-jitsu, so that was something to occupy myself every day. And and I felt like the more that I was open and honest about the shit and talked about it, the less embarrassing it was for me. And also, it's like you realize like a lot of people can relate to this shit because, whether it's addiction or just anything that happens that you experience, whether it happens to you or you impose upon yourself, that ends up causing shame or fucking regret or anxiety or depression. I think the biggest benefit you could have is to try to alleviate that in somebody else. And that's why, like, I always feel open to talk about people. I give out my fucking phone number all the time.
Yeah.
And if anybody's watching this and, like, you're struggling with fucking addiction, I'm telling you, hit me up, 215-789-5407. You're never fucking bothering me. I do not give a fuck. It's like, I feel lucky to have made it out the other end of all the shit that I put myself through. Like, nobody else is to blame for me causing my problems except for me. But, I'm happy to do that now, and I think, like, that's, I've experienced the benefit from it, from just doing that and just, like, leading a positive life, but then also knowing that it helps people somewhere along the way.
So I have friends that went through addiction that they don't want to talk about it. With not because of the embarrassment, but they work real jobs. Like I have a friend who, and it blows my mind, 10 years addicted to fentanyl. He's definitely going to watch this. And I tell him, like, dude, we want to hear, I want you to tell that story to people. So to see you tell the story and see, it being positive, the outcome of it is awesome. But like, is there any advice you'd give to people that, like, maybe to encourage them to want to talk about it, or do you think that's a bad idea?
No, I think like you have to have like, you at least have to have like the assurance that it's going to fall in somebody's ears that isn't going to make you feel worse about it, or isn't going to run and tell other people like, yo, you're never going to believe what this person said. I got lucky pretty early on with like sponsors and just people associated with like 12-step programs that like, they were cool with me. Like I could tell them anything. It was like people that were strangers a couple weeks prior that I could just say whatever I wanted to say and just knew that they would never go turn around and talk about it with somebody else. So I would say like, and I'm telling you, like if you want to text me, like it stays between you and I, whatever you want to talk about. But for me, that was just like being able to communicate with somebody who I knew wasn't going to run off and be like, yo, you'll never get what this fucking dickhead just told me.
Yeah.
For me, like that was the good starting point for kind of just getting all this shit out and moving on from there.
But your wife knew the whole time, right?
Most of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much just fucked up shit associated with like just addiction. It's like the last night where I got no, not the last night. Yeah, the last night where I got fucked up. Like that was like a cartoonish level of just insanity.
Yeah.
It's like my old neighbor ended up. I found out that my old neighbor was a coke dealer. He ended up getting me coke, and I was like in the bathroom at fucking Rivers Casino, jacking off to my phone, watching porn.
And then someone's like begging, like barely begging to take a shit down on the floor while I'm jacking my soft glass. So it's like something like that. Like, yeah, I'm bringing up like there's so much like insane shit that just goes along with it.
There's something goes like, keep it down in there. We're all trying to jack off.
So my friend who was addicted for 10 years, his family had no clue. He worked his job, and this is fentanyl. Like to me, it's like, I mean, how impressive that, like, not trying to encourage anybody to do that, but like how impressive that is that you can keep your job. Like you see people that are totally able to function and get away with it.
And that was me. Like my wife, more than anybody else, knew the extent. Like there were so many nights where I'm just like, I wake up in the hallway and I realize I threw up on the fucking rug.
Yeah.
Like most people, aside from me just saying that, most people would never know that. Like my wife does, because she's got to be the one to tell the kids.
She had to put the newspapers down.
Yeah, she's got to be down to some kids. That's impressive.
Yeah.
She is. It's like, that, above all else, like, she knew the extent of it. She knew that, like, with opioids, like, that was easier because I would mostly stay at home. Like, if I was going out with my friends, just hanging out, it's like, I might be a little sleepy or something, but, like, at home, it's like, I got fucking restless leg syndrome. It's hard for me to sleep at night. Can't maintain an erection. Like, nobody other than my wife would do it.
I was oblivious. We were spending a lot of time together during this period, and I would get in his car, and he would like have like a little candy dish full of pills, and he'd be like, "Hey, you want one?" And I was just like, "No, I think." But instead of being like, "Wow, this guy's in the throes of addiction," I was just like, "Wow, this guy's pretty fucking cool."
Dude, I did have a price of 300, so it's hard to think of.
Yeah, really. He was a functioning car owner, and I just went, "Whoa." I didn't realize I was around cool guys that know how to party. This is what's up. I should have been planning your intervention at the time, obviously.
No, but you would never know. It's like, honestly, like, pills were like Coke and alcohol. It's, I don't know why that is. Pills were just more, it was the one thing I had at that time. Yeah. Because I swore to my wife.
And they're from doctors, so that's not so
bad.
bad.
Yeah, that's an easy way to validate.
It justifies it, yeah.
Yeah.
So are you completely abstinent from alcohol?
Yeah, I haven't had a drop of alcohol since 2017. And for me, like, that's the catalyst for everything.
Dude, that's
The real deal.
Yeah.
Alcohol really is, yeah.
Have you had any freaks reach out since giving out your phone number all the time?
I only had to block one guy. Like, there have been, like, a ton of messages, and it's like, if you...
Hey, Mike, really inspired by your story. Just by chance, do you ever did it fuck up do you have any pictures of your feet? Are your feet okay after all that?
It's never like that, but it's like this guy just texted me 7 minutes ago. That's a guy that I met through just talking about like shit that we're going through. And, people hit me up, I'll text with you as long as you want to. Just because I know a big part of like anything that you feel shameful about or depression or anxiety, a lot of it is like the isolation that goes along.
yeah.
And I just don't want anybody to feel isolated because I felt that for so long. And a lot of it was self-imposed, but, if I could alleviate that in somebody else, like I want to do that for somebody.
And it's a great part of your story, like you were talking about Joey's story with, everything he's been through. And that's what I love about I don't know if you call it like the recovery community, but it is cool to see how well you guys stick together and how willing you are to help people and just putting your story out there. Like you said to Joey, like the fan mail he gets is incredible. Remember the one, it was like a guy who grew up like Joey, and he's like, I got my HVAC certification. I never thought, and it's like, that's a victory, man. It is. It really is, dude. So.
Yeah, I mean, for so many people, it's like when you're beaten down by whatever it is you're beaten down by, like there's so many times where you don't feel like you're ever going to see your way out of it.
Yeah.
And, it's just so hard if people can't see it in themselves, sometimes you just need somebody who sees it in you before you see it in yourself. And at that point, that might be enough of a catalyst to at least get you to see some kind of progress, and then you never know where you're going to end up.
All right, I got one more question that I'm dying to ask you guys, because I seen it with Tim. So you're comedians, you make jokes. Obviously, it is a joke should be controversial, and it runs the line of upsetting people.
Can't be boring.
Yeah, exactly. So, Tim, I saw one with you where guys were making real threats. So, the one with the don't drink and drive, the drinking and driving one, and you made fun of the commercial, and there was like a guy, he trained jiu-jitsu too, and he was like making like real threats at Tim.
Oh, what the hell was that?
It was the bartender one.
No, that wasn't. Okay, I know what you're talking about. It wasn't a drinking and driving PSA. It was a PSA about how we need to treat people with Down syndrome like normal people. But it was, to me, one of the worst pieces of media ever created, because it was different Down syndrome people speaking directly into a camera saying stuff like, you assume I can't have an alcoholic beverage, so you don't, like, it was a Down syndrome person talking to a bartender.
That's what the alcohol.
And
they go, hey, bartender, you assume I can't have a drink, so you don't serve me. And then it was like, you assume I can't drive a car, so you don't let me drive a car. And then it's like, you assume I can't, and it's just like, they start going rapid fire. And then the last one is this girl with Down syndrome going, you assume I can't have sex, so you don't have sex. And it was like, I don't know what point they thought they were making, but it was like a PSA, like,
I didn't realize it was that in depth.
give people with Down syndrome booze and have sex with them. Was, if anyone watches this PSA, that's the message that you'll take away from it. And we were just making fun of the PSA.
Yeah, no, and I knew that.
A guy started freaking, I mean, a bunch of people freaked out. But one of the guys was offering to like fly to Philly and fight me.
Yeah.
And like, they were like contacting people about me and shit like that. But it was, yeah, I got a real spaz attack from people on that one. And
Yeah, I mean, it was threats of violence. It was.
yeah, for sure. And I don't know, there's some, as much as I love jiu-jitsu, there's some fucking odd dudes
Oh, tons.
that are in it.
The day that we go train with Joe, maybe like that guy.
Let him come through.
I
Yeah,
could
PSA
probably beat, I could beat
everybody
both of them in one. Yeah, I'll take them both on in one day.
Just don't tell him I'm there.
Yeah.
Let him show up, think he's got you. And I'll
Yeah,
jump.
they would. So they started like contacting other people. Like they were
Yeah, like,
tagging
really-
other people. Like, you know this guy? You train with this guy? I want to get a hold of this guy. I want to fuck him up. And it's just like, bruh. First of all, it's
It's a
jujitsu.
joke.
Yeah. Number one, it's a joke. Second of all, it's like jujitsu. It's like, you think I haven't like gotten my ass beaten in grappling before? It's like, I don't know. Yeah, but people are, your average person right now is being pushed to their absolute limits by every new piece of information they see every single day. And I think that's by design, so that no one feels any sort of stability or connection to the actual people around them. And so when, if someone doesn't know who I am and knows that I'm just fucking around to hopefully make a retarded guy smile for a couple of seconds, of course, you have to expect that someone's going to snap and it's going to be the last straw for them. Or maybe they've got a hair trigger and they're reacting to everything this way. I expect it now. Now I
happened
understand.
when you were on stage. Either of you?
Yeah, dude, I've had people scream at me. I had a guy in Tampa scream, "Shut the fuck up," while I was like telling a story about my mom dying. And I was just like, what? I was telling a story about my mom being a lifelong addict and then dying of cancer, okay? And I don't know that I was saying anything controversial, but a guy, and I could hear his voice like wavering, like he was on the verge of crying. And he said, "Shut the fuck up." And I had like, I was so far from saying anything I thought was controversial that I on stage I was just like, who, me? And this guy stood up, and it was a guy with gray hair, and he had to be escorted out of the venue, and I was just like completely confused by the entire thing. But apparently he knew someone that died of cancer, and he didn't want me even talking about it.
Oh wow! Somebody who knew somebody's uncle who died, who was
Yeah,
a cousin
exactly.
of somebody they knew whose
Yeah.
half brother was friends. Like, bro,
We found out from the table around him, his mom died of cancer, but he was like an old guy, so it's just like, okay, yeah, that's what they do. But it's just, I'm telling you, people are at their fucking limits right now, whether they realize it or not. They're surrounded, they've gone into debt, furnishing a very comfortable lifestyle for themselves. They have a lot of stuff that they want, They go to work every day. They come home. They scroll their phone the entire time, and every new piece of information is designed to cause an emotional response so that they stay engaged. And then sometimes when a fucking guy with, you know, a series of head injuries says the wrong thing, it's just like. But yeah, it's I feel like I'm the last person that should have people freak out at comedy shows, and I get it more than you would expect, man.
You get anyone freak out at you? Yeah, it's been a while, but like pretty early on. Like I made a joke, like there was like a POW. Do you remember Jessica Lynch?
Yeah.
Somebody fill me in. Who the fuck is that?
Dude, it was like,
Dude,
She was the one who got captured.
she was captured by the Taliban and kept in like a rape tent.
Oh, nice.
In like 2003, and like I just made a joke about like the rescue, and in hindsight, it wasn't the best joke, but it was just that like the way that they were able to locate her by how bad her pussy smelled.
And someone was really upset about
I
it.
screamed from like the back of the room, like, "Are you fucking serious?" Yeah, I get it, man, but it's
Yeah, it's comedy.
yeah. I mean,
Like, they're not being serious.
You're a terrible person, Michael. I can't believe you would say that. Yeah, fuck. Wait, so she was a military chick?
Yeah, she was in the army. I think she was like a private first class, too.
And they rescued her, and she's.
that's where they got her.
Has she ever like put anything out since?
Probably a book or something. I'm not reading that though. I don't need that in my brain. I don't even know what the Taliban's doing to women. I can assume.
And now they're back with like all our shit.
Better than ever, yeah.
What
dude.
do you think about the drones?
The Jersey ones?
I think
The fucking multiple state ones.
true.
dude, I think
there's a chance that maybe there was a nuke that somehow ended up over here and they don't know where it is and they're having a hard time locating it. I think that's the best theory that I've seen so far. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's our own drones for sure. And they don't have a result. They're not telling us because they haven't found whatever's missing. Nuclear wastes of a cargo that was missing or something along those lines. I don't know. But yeah, I think the same thing.
Like, could you imagine, like, before drones, it would just be a bunch of, like, federal agents just knocking on
There's
doors?
the men in black walking around the neighborhood, fucking flashing people's memories.
But it's pretty crazy. It seems to be that all the drones were popping up on the East Coast. Obviously, it's an East Coast type of thing. But then that does.
They said they're coming from the ocean. I assume
Yeah.
a Chinese ship off the coast was just.
I don't think it's China. I think it's ours, and I think we probably have some things underwater that we don't know. I don't know. Maybe that makes me fucking. I don't know. I think that we have a lot more that we don't know about.
Oh, for sure.
And obviously, that's why it's coming from the ocean. We probably have that shit under the water. I don't know. Probably underwater system, something somehow. But yeah, it's pretty wild, and it's pretty wild that this piece of shit president that we used to have has let all these people in illegally. For one, and then you have all the Iranians coming over, and now you're sending they're also sending American missiles and army tanks over into the Ukraine-Russia thing, and it's just like it seems like they're trying to cause as much chaos as possible before he's completely out. But by far the worst president in history, I think. But
It's like renting it's like having an Airbnb and just renting to the wrong person. They just destroy it. Yeah. It's like, here you go, bud.
it's just so many unexplainables. Like you can't tell. You have a whole country and you have no answers for something as simple as drones flying overhead. Oh, we don't know who it is and we don't know what they're here for. But it's like, how long does it take to get a response?
True. Yeah, I think most of the stuff that you see on the media, like any explanation that they give you for anything has already gone through like 3 levels of just like boardrooms full of like arms manufacturers like making decisions.
You only see what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only see what they want us to
Yeah,
see.
like the stuff that
What
we
they're allowed to admit.
well, the stuff that we see and react to, I think, is almost just like you completely disconnected from what's actually happening. We're getting like a TV show about what they need to do to make the most money, and it's just like that's why I get so freaked out by people that just get so upset about this. They call off their family members. You know what I mean? It's just like, bro, you're basically watching soap operas. You're going nuts over Teletubbies for grown-ups right now. This shit's not real.
how long do you think Biden's got?
Yeah, he might.
Life-wise,
Yeah.
that motherfucker's dead in less than 5-year plan. Don't die. That's his. He
I
might
think
die.
he's gonna disappear like Yoda on the 20th. I think he's gonna, as soon as the term's up, he's gonna. Yeah, they're gonna unplug whatever it is that's keeping him going, and it's over, dude. Warranties
He
up.
declined really quick though. I feel like he like declined like super fast.
I think he probably started off in a pretty bad place, and they just had everything around him set up to make it look like he wasn't.
Well, he seemed like he was like with it a little bit to a certain extent where he wasn't stuttering that bad.
When
And
he
now
was
it's just
vice
like-
president, he looked like the coolest old guy in the entire world.
They tried to keep that going when he first became president. They kept showing him with sunglasses on.
Yeah, I think clearly they were hiding. He was probably starting to get fucking Bill Cosby milky eye, and they were trying to hide it from us. And now the facade's completely. Now he moves like a wax statue. That'd be nice. I have when old people get old enough and they don't want to die of natural causes or going to like a what's that called when you're like palliative care, hospice. They should let pro wrestlers do moves to them to like, smash them.
Well,
You know what I
dude,
mean?
relative to that, like how you
How's-
have to get
dude.
Institute thing. What if it was like a Biden-based punch? So you would get all the money. So now, once he leaves office, you're no longer like threatening the president. So I wonder if like you could hit his likeness for like $5 a pop and walk.
And it tells
Oh,
you.
Joey loves those machines, dude.
I always break the record on them things. I enjoy doing it. Like I love being able to do that stuff. I'm salty though because I broke Nagano's and I did it with a fucked up shoulder at it, like a partial tear on my labrum. I wasn't even supposed to hit it. Out of shape, like whatever. I hit it. Then Alex Pereira beat my score. And then when I went back to hit it recently, they took it out, and I was like,
Why
"Why?
do you think that?
No idea. They didn't have an answer."
So we go to the UFC PI, and they just have a fridge thing, and it's like, dude, if you're offering free food, I'm grabbing everything. Like it's just my nature. Like if there's chicken breast in there and hummus and snacks, I'm taking it. So I go in there and I'm like, I'm starting to take stuff, and this guy's like, hey, that's for the fighters only, right? Joey comes walking over behind me, and Joey doesn't like when someone that he likes is being told they can't do something. So Joey starts arguing with the guy.
Well, you're eating fucking Aspinall's lunch. You know what I mean? You read the name on the bag.
Joey goes, oh yeah, and you're the guy who said I didn't break the punch record. Joey starts flipping. Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, he goes, "That wasn't me."
Yeah,
And I was
no,
like,
he
"It was
tried to
fucking
say,
you."
"Oh,
Like,
I-
yeah, I was like, "It was you, bud." He was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "I do though. I know. I remember your fucking face."
I
Like,
just walked away. I'm like, if I get caught doing something, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go over here.
What is it about Pereira's power, or why does it look like he's barely moving and it's super slow and it's just hitting so hard? What's happening there?
I just don't think that he over rotates into anything. I think everything comes from, his hips, and that's where your power's from, and your ass, your legs, and how he rotates. He does rotate pretty good, but it's everything. He throws his hooks for the most part, and he gets you standing still. So I just think he's a big guy, probably very dense bones. He's a guy that was working manual labor doing tires and shit, and that's hard work. And then obviously he's been in kickboxing for so long, and fought, was a champion, and he's a tank, man. So he's just a guy who's got physical attributes, I think, leaning on his side. I don't think he always had that, but doing manual labor and then doing kickboxing, like his bone density is probably like through the roof.
Being a day laborer probably is the best base for MMA. Actually, I think you need something traumatic in your childhood, by the way. Like all the Dagestanis taking over when their childhoods were just like them wrestling bears in rubble. You know what I mean? You can't replicate that. You can't get that in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, they got some of the best like body clinch, takedown wrestling dominant. Obviously, Islam. You got Khabib. You have Umar. You have Usman. They're just all like super dominant wrestlers, but not the best strikers. But they're really, really, really efficient at what they do, and they're probably the best at what they do in that regard. But
Do you have specific tasks that you would do to?
not really. I mean, I don't do anything special. I think I never believed that I had natural power because I couldn't get fucking anything right as a child. Like, my dad always was like, "You're fucking retarded. I fucking showed you 10 times. Like, I got my ass beat a lot because I couldn't learn something fast enough to his standard. But I think it's something I think it's the repetition is what's allowed me to punch so hard. It's like I understand landing the shot all in one motion, and I understand whipping my shoulder, and I understand like the speed and closing my hand at the end. Like there's a lot that goes into a punch. Everybody kind of hits hard, but I think the part that gives me the knockouts is like the speed behind it, and then the snap at the end of it. So a lot, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of natural power, sure, which we all have, but I think it's just from the years and years of repetition of boxing. So I don't know if there's necessarily a special thing you can do. You can increase power by a little bit, but you either got it or you don't.
This is such a lame MMA journalist question, but like, do you visualize a finish for each individual fight, or do you have something in your mind that you know is your thing that works and you see that going your way?
No, I mean, I know what I'm good at, obviously. I know what my strengths are, but, based on the film work that we do, which I actually didn't like doing that much because I felt like it just caused me anxiety. And I think it was a little too immature in my career to like really, I just didn't want to think about anything he was doing because a part of my career, I would be so worried about what they were doing and looking for that the whole time that I felt like I was like kind of holding back.
And you're watching them succeed with it on tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
it can definitely like fuck with your head. But I know what I'm good at, and I know how to fight, obviously, and I don't think there's anything that can happen in a fight that I'll necessarily be surprised by. So you can't do more harm than good by watching somebody's tendencies and figuring out what they like, what they're good at, and then obviously you keep that in your sparring sessions. The problem is a lot of people don't apply what they learn in sessions. And I think that's the difference in like a really skilled fighter who can make it to be a championship level versus somebody who's telling their mom, their aunt, their fucking cousin, their best friend, hey, yeah, I'm gonna be a UFC champion. These guys will go and they drill, but then they don't apply it. I am the opposite. I will drill and then I will try it. And if I don't like it, then I don't put it in my tool bag. But I will keep trying new things. I'm not afraid to lose, and I'm not afraid to try something. So
You mentioned a couple times the people who can't do the training room stuff in a fight. What's the barrier?
to finish your last question, yes, I do visualize.
Oh,
Like,
okay, sorry.
I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
dreams. No, I'm just because I want to answer because
Thank
I
you.
really went off on it. But yeah, I do visualize things, and I visualize it like Mortal Kombat, like hitting somebody in their head, cracking. And I just know I have the power that if I catch you clean, that's why I've always said if I can catch you clean, I can get one. Even if I don't put you to sleep, I know I'm going to hurt you. And it takes one good shot for me to be able to change the whole momentum of a fight. But yes, I do visualize it. Sometimes, more often than not, it doesn't go the way you think. Even if I get the knockout, it wasn't how I viewed it. But what was the other one?
You've mentioned a couple of times the people, doing it in the training room and then not being able to do it in the fight. What's the barrier there?
I think just a confidence issue. I think it's a confidence issue and a self belief issue. Like if you've trained hard enough, like there's a lot of guys that'll be gym heroes and they look fucking amazing, and then they get out there and they don't have the balls to pull the trigger. And I just think it's a small heart mentality. Like you got to go out there no matter how you feel, and you got to throw with everything you got. And if you think you're going to get smoked and you're just outmatched skill wise, then you better swing for the fences. You know what I mean? Make your shot count while you have your best chance. You're full of energy and you're ready to go. Go bomb that motherfucker. And yeah, no, I think it's a confidence issue because some of these guys just don't fucking pull the trigger and they're afraid.
I think environment too.
Yeah.
You take people out of that environment and then you put them in one where it's just you fighting another person in a cage with everybody watching, and this is the moment.
Yeah, some people just can't deal with the nerves.
Yeah.
Do you do anything to reinforce confidence, or is that just
I think the reinforcement for confidence, it's always there. I always have it. Let's put it this way: there's not a person that you could put me against that I don't think I have a shot to beat. It's just something I've always believed. I think that's again the unexplainable. Like I don't know what it is. It's something like in my stomach and my chest that I've always believed. I just don't think there's a guy that physically better than me that I can't at least hurt or knock out or catch him somehow. So it doesn't matter who it is. They may be the best fighter. They may be better than me, but I still believe I have a shot to win. So that's a part of it. That's something that's just installed in my hardware, I believe. And then I think the confidence, the reassurance comes from obviously the repetitions and how hard did I train in that camp. Uh, if you physically know, like feel, man, this is the best I ever felt, confidence raises because you just don't feel like there's anything you're going to get hit with that you can't deal with. Um, and then once you get to that stage, I think this is where I have the kill or be killed mentality. It's like against Kelvin, I think I'm going to be at the best physical performance, peak level that I've ever been, as long as I stay healthy physically. And then at the end of it, like my mentality is going to be the only way this man can beat me is if he catches me and knocks me out somehow. And that can happen. You know what I mean? That can happen. But, I can't worry about that. That's just a part of what comes with fighting. Sometimes you get fucking caught, but I don't think this guy's going to be able to do it. So, yeah, confidence comes from the preparation.
I might have to say yes.
Fuck it.
I'm moving into this, so.
Own that shit. You got to believe it. Don't there's a difference too, right? Confidence thing. There's people that will sit there and convince themselves that they can do something. That's one thing I've never had to do. I've never had to sit there and pep talk myself to be able to do something. There's been times where I'm like, man, I'll never be a champion because my life is destined to fail. Like I had that mentality because everything good as a child that I thought was going to happen got taken away or didn't, come to fruition. But you got these guys that'll fucking read these self-help books or physical whatever mental coaching, and they have to convince themselves that they are good enough to win and to achieve that. I know I'm good enough to achieve that. I believe it. So, sometimes I'll have to talk, to my close friends or whatever and be like, man, like, what the fuck am I doing wrong with this? If I feel stagnant or I'm not learning something or I feel like I'm getting caught with something. But yeah, it's never, I'm going to win.
Now, I
could ask you guys questions for days. It's just so fucking interesting. But I wanted to ask, like you're somebody who just always seems like they got their shit together, is always moving forward, and always has something big coming up. Are you setting goals like to get to that point, or are you just you have like an overall idea of what you want to accomplish, or do you have very specific things that you're setting out to do?
So for me, like, I think it's like part of the ADD where I constantly need to do something that is really scary, you know what I mean? Or makes me extremely uncomfortable. So like I always try to go for something big, and there needs to be a real possibility for failure for me to be like, all right, I have to be at my best. Like there can be no comfort involved. And it's like one of the reasons why I'm in Kensington every day. You know what I mean? Like there has to be an element of danger for me to feel like I can focus on something. You know what I mean? So like part of the reason why I ran for office, and there's other reasons that, I could go on forever about, but like going for something big, you know what I mean? And putting myself out there, I enjoy that. I do. I really do. So for me, yeah, it's gotta be, and that's what MMA taught me. Like you have to be willing to fail in front of people. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing to fail with nobody watching, but with everybody watching, it brings out the best version of yourself. You get to test yourself and you get to know yourself better. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I hope that answers that.
No, it does, man. Yeah.
So I followed your political race in Philly. What was the biggest disappointment when you finally got in to see what was happening that close?
It's part of the reason why I ran. Like, I just feel like Philadelphia has the most incompetent leadership. Like, people that are the most unqualified to lead. You know what I mean? That really bothered me. And the unwillingness of people who are in the positions that could help fight for the change that are just scared. You know what I mean? To be like, oh, I'd give you money, but my name would be on the campaign finance report. And that's the hardest thing about running for office is like trying to show people that you're genuine and sincere in like a 30-second video. It's hard to do. It really is.
And I think if you approach it that way, you're playing kind of a different game than what everyone that's already successful is playing, where it's just like they know what message is going to work to, make people not really question them too much. And you're just like, here's who I am and what I think we could do. And it's just like, bro, that's the biggest mistake you can make in politics.
I know, right? Yeah.
Not biggest mistake, but I think it's like if you give that up, then it's like you become one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then people are like, you could switch to Democrat and you could run. And it's like, well, if like part of the reason why I'm running is because like Philadelphia has been ruled by one party since before my mother was born. You know what I mean? It's like I can't join the machine. I constantly I need an enemy. I need to fight against something. And it's like, you know what I mean? There's one group here that's been at the forefront of
right. You're not doing it because you want to join in on what they're already doing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So was it pretty shocking for you, I guess is what I want to know, when you finally saw it up close?
No, it's like professional wrestling. Like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik were riding in cars together doing coke to the wrestling matches on the New Jersey Turnpike. But in the ring, they hated each other. It's like you get to see that side of it too. You know what I mean? Where you're like, you wish there were two different groups, but it feels like it's the same people. You know what I mean? Like the people that are the leaders of the group that's not in power, like they're still drinking buddies with that other group. You know what I mean? So I pray for Philadelphia. I do. I'd love to see the city change, and we are a major city that has the most potential to be one of the best places to live. I mean, on the East Coast, it's affordable to live here. You know what I mean? Like, we are kind of underpopulated as a city too. Like, regardless of how you feel about traffic. I mean, go to Boston, go to New York City. And the other thing is, like, our major transit, our the Market Frankfurt line, you have some of the worst poverty in this city living underneath it. And it's like, go to Chicago, go to New York. Like, if you live underneath the L,
It's not bad.
it's not bad.
It's not bad. Yeah, dude. Everywhere I go is nicer than Philadelphia. This is like one of the worst cities I've been to so far.
And you look at our waterfront, like, we have such an underdeveloped waterfront, and it's like, there's one problem here. It's drugs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the problem. And it just doesn't seem like anybody wants to do something to really change that, you know? Yeah, definitely frustrating. But part of the reason that wakes me up every day is, like, however you feel about real estate development, where we're at in Philadelphia, like, there were drug dealers on this block. You know what I mean? They're not here anymore. This house was used for prostitution, which is basically human trafficking, and we were able to purchase that property and turn it into something different.
On Castor Ave, that was, I think, a traffic house. And it was like every couple of weeks on trash night, you'd see a new set of luggage in the trash. You know what I mean? Like, girls were ending up there and never leaving, bro. And it's
And it's obvious. It's like, if you have eyes, you can see it. But, like, the drug traffickers, the drug dealers, they're smart. They know the laws. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
they know that no one's actually trying to fix it.
yeah.
You know, you've got the entire industry of, like, ending it. That's just like people collecting giant salaries to consult organizations that say that their purpose is to fix it. It's just like, bro, that money never actually makes it to the problem.
Yeah.
So what do you do instead? Where are you going next?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna, like, the one thing that I'm happy about running for office is, like, all right, I don't want to do that again. Like, I really don't. I don't want to put my family in that situation again. And it helped me realign my focus. And, you know, with Trump coming into office, I've never felt so optimistic. And I'm starting to see the industry that I work in feel that optimism too. So staying focused on that, Joey with this fight coming up, like, every training camp Joey has, it inspires me again. It excites me. It pushes me to be a better person. So the fact that he has a fight coming up March 29th in Mexico City, which I've always wanted to go to Mexico, I'm thrilled about. So, and just focusing on my family, you know what I mean? Like, the things that actually matter in life.
I think that's the best thing you can do. I don't think there's any solutions coming from the people in any sort of power. I think the best thing you do is, like, build a good life and create, like, a circle of influence that make other people want to build a better life.
Yeah.
And you're literally building a neighborhood. I think that's pretty fucking cool. Are you guys Elon guys?
I'm not against Elon. I'm just not. I'm not for fucking Teslas. But yeah, I like Elon. I like that he has the uncensored X. I think that was a huge move.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And like,
I think the facade's crumbling.
yeah.
I don't really know too much about him.
He runs $1 trillion company, and obviously he's going to want to import cheap labor. Like, it's going to be part of.
Bro, I don't trust him at all.
Yeah.
I went from being completely indifferent on him. Now, in the past, like, maybe month, I'm like, this guy needs to be stopped. He's not good. He's bad, dude.
And look, time will tell. You know what I mean? Like you almost want to give somebody a shot and let's see what happens. Hearing Trump talk, I mean, he's talking about, like, there's going to be so many jobs. So I'd like to give him a shot, but I feel the same way you feel, right?
Well, like, one of the things that he said immediately was about the whole Canada thing with $200 billion a year for them, and they buy or they give us 20%. We buy cars from them or whatever it is. But he was like, we could have it here in Detroit or South Carolina. I mean, that opens up jobs in itself. But I mean, I don't really know what Elon's role is too much.
Bruh.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into him too much.
But I do like Doge. I like the idea. It's like, I want to have every major city to have a scoreboard It's like, where's Philadelphia with education? And like, make this so public, because the majority of people have no clue where their tax dollars are going, how it's being spent, and how this is impacting your life now. It's like, they get lots of money, you know what I mean? And what are we doing in this country?
Yeah, almost none of it comes back.
Yeah, your quality of life,
You know? And I think that's like the best way to break the matrix. So, you know, you hear a lot of things from politicians, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess we will.
Yeah.
I'm worried. I'm worried about because the number of jobs that are going to be open and how many people we're going to need for them. And then in the past couple of weeks being like, also Americans aren't suited for a lot of these jobs, so we do need to bring in as many people as possible. And it's like, no, that's not really true, dude.
Yeah.
That's not really true. Like a guy coming from another country and getting here and saying like, actually American culture doesn't produce like really elite workers, and we need to rely on places like India to do that. It's just like, no, actually, no, is what I think to that, dude.
Yeah. And I agree. I do.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a part of like taking, you know, maybe if we can get Canada to be the 51st with their unemployment rate, maybe they take a good percentage of the jobs that open up because they have a failing economy that's on the brink of collapse. Possibly. Definitely going to be a part.
That'd be sick. Get Canada. If we scooped up Canada, that would be one of the biggest acquisitions ever. That'd be so cool.
I feel like we should. It is an imaginary line. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a part of North America. I don't see why it wouldn't be a part of the States, but especially with a failing economy.
I don't know. What about
But
Greenland?
I'm not a politician.
You guys-
I think we should get that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
What are we gonna do with it?
I don't give a fuck. We're USA. We should have. We're supposed to be the best in the world. Land of the free. Take it.
That.
That's how it should go. I don't want Russia to have it.
True.
I don't want China to have it. I don't want you to have it.
So
Me specifically, what the hell? I think I would do a great job with Greenland. Mike, back me up here. Thank
I
you.
actually, because I don't know. What are you afraid of with Elon? You're afraid of Elon bringing in foreign people to fill jobs?
That's part of, well, no, it just makes me not trust him. I think we're going to bring in, the H-1Bs to do jobs regardless, but like, it seems like it's kind of the point now. You know what I mean?
Is this something he's recently talked about? 'Cause I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
seen
pretty
it.
recent.
H-1B and like people who have been pushing back, like you're starting to see censorship on Twitter now. Or X.
Taking away check marks and shit like that and demonetizing people now. Yeah, dude, I think
I haven't seen that.
I think whatever, I don't know if he's making a change or if like the mask is coming off, but like I think it's time to give a fuck.
Well, dude, we appreciate you guys coming on today and like talking with us. How can people find you? Like, where can they go? Like let them know your social.
Check out Dad Meat Podcast. Find me on YouTube. It's just Tim
Dad?
Butterly. Dad Meat.
Dad meat?
Dad Meat Podcast. Check out Tim Butterly on YouTube. I'm doing a really great series right now where I'm forcing my wife to play through Metal Gear Solid for the Sony PlayStation. It's kind of an experiment in bothering my wife, I guess. But yeah, that's my shit. Come check it out. Come see me do stand-up.
Yeah, you can check out all my stuff at onperks.com. All my books are there. All the shit I sell. Do Dad Meat with Tim. Also do a true crime podcast called Little Snickers. I promise you, it's not Fat Girl, Hot Topic Cashier true crime. It's actually fun. Check that out. And then also, I can't thank you guys enough. This is so much fun for us. Tim and I were fucking giddy. Like when you fucking asked us to do this shit.
Oh yeah.
We're both big fans of both of you guys. Like I said, like you're both very easy guys to root for. And I'm excited to see what you guys do next.
Yeah, well, thank you. We, I mean, like I said it on the last one, but, I'll keep saying it until we, get it off the ground. It's something we've been wanting to do, and, luckily, Sam has a friend that is allowing us to, try to get this thing off the ground, and they've been super helpful, but it's been something we've talked about for a couple of years now, and, I figure why not just start it and, just get it going. So we got 3 good guests so far, and hopefully we keep building it and getting it better and better, and we appreciate it. You guys were fun.
Appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Yo, thank you guys. Seriously, that was
Thank
fucking
you, man.
awesome, man.
This was so much fun.